Okay. Looks like I'm ready to go. So I got my dev environment all set up, and I got my bug list here that I'm looking at, which really this is the bug that I'm interested in. Been for a while. The general idea is that on NVIDIA systems, using GPU acceleration, which is using this Movit library, kdenlive crashes. You just go to a part in the timeline. Or actually, it seems to be anything that requires a refresh on rendering causes it to crash. It seems very specific to NVIDIA, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's an NVIDIA bug. It could be that other drivers or systems are robust to something that kdenlive is doing that causes it to crash. It doesn't also necessarily mean it's a bug in kdenlive. It could be a bug in MLT or Movit or the integration, it sounds like from the chat. What it's looking like is it's a issue with how kdenlive works with MLT or Movit in terms of the OpenGL context. And specifically what context is active, how it works with it with specific different threads. And that seems to eventually cause a crash, which on what's called the refactoring timeline, which is the one where the next development work is being done instead of stability work. The error is GL frame buffer complete, which is a lot clearer than it is on the other branch. The other branch just says, if I recall correctly, either invalid operation from GL or invalid value for an operation, which is a bit more vague than GL buffer complete, especially since this is also an assertion internal to effect chain Movit, I'm not really sure, that versus an assertion that OpenGL is throwing, which is in the other case. So I'm going to start here. Might be a bit easier to chase down. I don't think these XCB8 blah 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 errors mean anything. There's probably something to do with my desktop environment mucking with things. So we're going to start, well, straight up with Movit effect chain and effect chain line 2059. This is NixOS, by the way, and I have a development environment all set up to poke at kdenlive, including MLT and Movit, from a Git repository. Let's see, make J12. Yeah, we'll do that. Make J12 just to see. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, we're in kdenlive for that one. And the branch is master. So I'm going to check out the upstream refactoring underscore timeline branch. Make sure that builds. It should. I've built it before. So I'm not terribly worried about that. let's see what's going on here. Lower bit rate. All right, I'm gonna reset this. Ooh. Eh, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna go with this. This is fine. It's just an experiment anyways right now. So just back. We'll check the crash. Okay, not relevant to me. So anyways, gonna check out the refactoring timeline. And I'm gonna name it the same. And we're gonna base it from upstream refactoring timeline. But I want to keep my own copy of this and set my upstream to not the primary Git repository, but my fork, so I can change things as I want. There we go. So now I'm on the refactoring timeline. I'm going to go ahead and build the full kdenlive. I'm not going to run reconfigure. I'm hoping the refactoring timeline is close enough to the original branch that I do not need to reconfigure the project, but if I do, that's okay. Presumably it will just make or fail to make if it needs to. It'll make if it doesn't need to be reconfigured, and fail to make if it does. So far it seems pretty happy. This is using the CMake build system, and I've had excellent success with the CMake build system actually. It's really boring. I mean, it's just, there's nothing cool or neat, cool about it. I would say it doesn't really have a pizzazz that some people would say of other build systems, but if you're building C++, I have found it to be really reliable. It just kind of gets the job done. Also integrates nicely with Nix packages. It's pretty easy to set up this kdenlive build environment. It's building. Might as well go over how this is set up. I think this is pretty standard for me when it comes to a Nix packages development environment. And the setup is fairly straightforward. Just uses a few, how do I get this to, okay, close enough. This uses a few techniques. One of them is using Git submodules to reference the individual projects that I'm working on. And in this case, I'm referencing kdenlive, MLT, and Movit as Git submodules. This itself is a Git repository, but it's only then going to contain essentially my development setup, and it's going to reference what the current state of my development setup is. And Git submodules is a mechanism to do that. It lets me reference exactly the commit that I'm working on for each one of these projects. I don't think Git submodules has a very nice interface. There's a lot of typing that goes on to do very basic things, and it can get to a strange state. And by strange state, I mean these can end up as detached heads pretty easy if you're working in the parent one, and you can accidentally commit the new reference these should point to easier than I would like. But that's fine. I'm more used to using that interface, so not too worried. So anyways, the other package that I reference, or submodule I reference, is Nix packages itself. I like to fix Nix packages at a particular commit. And in this case, I'm fixing Nix packages at a commit that I know builds the entire NixOS desktop in a tested form. I know it runs including Qt GNOME and all the other libraries that might be used by kdenlive. And this is fixed at a particular commit because I know I can always come back to this development environment setup and it'll work. The development environment, which the individual packages would be built from Nix packages. Since they're fixed at a version I know works, I can always come back to come back to this in the future and know that I get the exact same development environment. I mean exact same. It's going to be down to the SHA-256 of all the assets. Test case, undo and redo. Okay, cool. I want to try running the test, but I'll do that later. These warnings don't matter for the test stuff, but that's cool. So it looks like I got the refactoring timeline up and built. So I'm going to go ahead and just run it. Let's see, how's this doing? Good. Health is good. Okay, well, I'll accept. Health is good. It told me my health is good. Okay, cool. So, oof. One thing, if you get used to service development for a while, is the state of logging of desktop applications is way different from it is for service applications. We've invested a lot in logging, but that's okay. I see what's going on, and we can, of course, unlike services, very easily attach a debugger. Okay, this looks about right. I'm gonna go ahead and open an existing project I have. It should load eventually. Planting effect. Okay, yeah, it's still going. Oh yeah, it needs to rebuild the proxy clips for a new version of kdenlive. Okay, so got our thingy up, and the bug is that as soon as I change the location of the timeline, it's going to crash. Ooh, I got no crashes. Are we actually using Movit? I have to wonder. I'm currently missing the menus, which is not cool. I would like my menu. Main toolbar. Current actions. Okay. Oh dear. How do I... Stymied. Oh, there we go. Toolbar shown, main toolbar. Interesting. Toolbar shown, main toolbar. Paste, render. No. Right. Extra toolbar. Main toolbar. No. I guess maybe I just don't have it there. So let us see about project settings. Nope. Configure KDE and live. Yes, let's add that. And I do actually want the project settings. Actually, what happens if I reset all items to defaults? Extra toolbar, main tool. Well, I do actually wonder if that's right. I'm gonna have to check with the group to see if that's correct, but for now, I'm just gonna go with this. So configure kdenlive. Are we actually using Movit? Use restart KDE. I'm very suspicious. Okay, so does that imply it's not using the Movit library, or does that imply it is using? I swear it was using it. Playback UCP process. Well, now I am not 100% sure. Let's check the output here and see if there's any mentioning of Movit. Returning default profile. Well, I guess I could just try a GPU effect and see if they even show up or work. GPU effects, blur, deconvolution, sharpen. Oh wow, I didn't know you had a dec. Oh my goodness, it does work. Oh, actually, I kind of like that effect. Well, that'll be selected to delete. Delete. Aha, a bit. Huh. All right. Well, I'm just gonna start adding some stuff to the timeline, and it's usually when I mucked with alrighty, let's go chat with the guys and gals, and I magically got my menu back. Alright, yeah, that's cool. Don't really know. Huh. Okay, well, let's see what they say. I guess I'll just start adding some cool GPU effects. I like vignette. Ah, but look at that. It does, in fact, initialize to too small. As soon as I... Whoa. resize it, it goes. Seems like these are not being accounted for in the sizing. Can we get a bigger vignette on that? Come on. Is this supposed to be adjustable? Linear. Oh yeah, it's got a vignette. I see it. Ooh. Alrighty, what else we got? Can we undo? Oh, adding an effect does not immediately trigger re-rendering. What is this one? Enable keyframes. Okay, yeah. Alright, well that was fun. It really does not. Right, I see. What if we can adjust that padding there? I'll look into that later. Glow. Alright, well. Let's do glow. Why not? Oh, look at that. That looks nice. Oh, give a very nice tint to my coding videos, right? Look at that. Look at that. It's wonderful. The text looks glorious. Okay. Let's see if anybody else would move its hue shift using its over another clip. Hue shift gang. Okay. Alright, let's grab a title clip. In kdenlive, we add a, well, pretty much as it says, add a title clip. And we will just go ahead and say, actually, I'll just start editing this actual video. Ooh. Now that's interesting. Let's try that again. Add title clip. Whoa. Alright, don't really see where my cursor is. That's very interesting. I wonder if it has something to do with the rendering. We'll select something slightly. Nope. We'll just pump up the size. 80. 100%. And we'll go with that. Cannot open file. kdenlive title. I'm going to go ahead and make a fresh project. Yeah, whatever. Sure, great. No, let's not save our changes. Ooh. Very interesting. Oh, there we go. Okay, so let us add a title clip. Oh, there we go. Going too fast. Add title clip. Again, I'm just going to say text. 5 seconds. Yep. Okay. Darn. Project. Okay. No, don't want to save, of course. But what I'm going to do is I actually have, in terms of my next development environment, I have a set of packages compiled against the master branch of kdenlive. And I should be able to go back to that with just packages next.kdenlive. This should already be built. Or maybe not. Oh, probably garbage collected. That's fine. Whatever. It'll build. Let's see. What specifically commit am I working off of? I'm on kdenlive's commit 1AF. I'm just going to look at the GitHub mirror. It's a bit easier. 1A. Okay. 2 days ago. I could check out the 5 hours ago one, but I don't think that's going to make a difference for purpose of this test. So, building kdenlive still? Okay. No problemo. See if they have any ideas on that title bug. Okay, might be a missing module. It's no problem. What are we at? 36%? No problem. I'll just, what did he say? MLT? So I'll just build MLT and check that command. Melt query producer script title. I mentioned that only because I believe the one used for distribution is 6.11. I'm not sure it makes a difference, but we'll find out. How we doing? 50%? Okay. It's not parallel building kdenlive. least I don't think so. Really looks like it's doing one after another. And actually, I'm gonna run out of patience, and we'll just go ahead and build MLT, which is already built. So we will check that melt command, which is query producers, query, what does this say? I'm not going to do the grep because I kind of want to know what the full thing is. Whoa! Producers, dot, dot, dot. Dun, 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 dun. It really doesn't seem interesting. Freeor. What is Freeor? I recognize that name. But indeed, no titler whatsoever. Mhm. Okay. So MLT is not being built with the titler. So I'm gonna go see what the standard Nix packages definition of MLT is. Let's see. Oh yeah, wow. 610, not even 611. It's 610. Wow. Out of date documentation, no problem. Do they have other build instructions? Clearly. That says configure. Okay, sure. Let's see how it builds. Anything new? No time fixing that. Okay, still the same. Roddy. Where am I? Fix color accuracy. So we'll go back. I believe that's the closest before this refactoring. Yeah. Wrong place. Is there any patch that needs to be done here? No, just post install configure. Okay. Let's see here. That configure help. Are we missing any options that would enable see anything that's covering titling? Okay. We'll go for that. Don't think that's going to change anything, but go ahead and build it with enable GPL3. So what I'm going to do is I have my overrides here of the MLT build. This is the MLT build in Nix packages. So I am going to go ahead and say, whoops, configure flags equals, I want to add GPL3 to that, but I still want the old flags. And let's see what that configures as. Zoom. Okay, configure modules, configure it, disabling EXIF. NDI, what's NDI, I wonder? Oh, that's easy to fix. FFTW. FFTW is in Nix packages, so that's easy. I don't know what oh, okay, internal. Don't really care about that. QMake not found. QT, Alright, well there's a few obvious things I can improve with this setup here. EXIF, that's very easy. That'd be nice. NDI, SDK, I don't know what NDI, so I'm gonna SDK. Ooh, sounds like a third-party thing. I don't really. OpenCV, let's do it. Why not? FFTW, yep, easy. QMake, yeah, easy. Okay. So, what we're going to look at first is FFTW, because I happen to be familiar with that. I believe it's just FFTW. I wonder what the default is. Precision is double. Okay, sure, why not? Let's do it. FFTW. Again, build inputs. We want to retain old adders that build inputs, which it's pretty clever about. So, let's see if that go ahead and fix it. Not even gonna let it complete. Don't even care with the self FFTW. So I should expect it, the configure script, to locate FFTW this time. Dun, 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 dun. Where was it? Configuring core. I don't remember. Wow. Up here. It was a plus. Plus. Okay. So we should expect after plus. I should really use search. Plus. Yep. Okay, so we got FFTW, QT. Let's do that guy next. So QMake is a build tool run on the architecture performing the build. We want to build this against Qt5. I think that's right. Let's find out. Native build. What? Okay, so there is no existing native build actors. Inputs, actors. QMake missing. Okay, so I guess it's not part of that. Really? QMake, where are you? QMake 4.8 hook. I'm suspicious about this because it's doing Qt 4.8. Alright, we'll skip on that for now. Because that's Qt5, not Qt4. There's real no interest in that. I would have thought there would be yeah, look at that QMake. Make setup hook. What? I'm not libs for Qt5 QMake. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm highly suspicious on that. QMake. Alright, you know what? Libs. Is anything else reference this way? Qt5.qmake. Well, no. Yeah, see, I'm just very suspicious about that. Does libs for Qt5 call package? Problem is I'm not using cult package. Libs for Qt5 cult package anyways. It's using that. Alright, well anyways, I'm gonna skip it for now. I don't think that's relevant for enabling the text processing library, but don't really know. So we'll go ahead and build it without text processing. Am I using parallel building on MLT? Parallel building, true. Okay. Come on, computer. Well, while I wait for that, so what is in core? Producer. What's in the audio spectrum? Audio light show, QT blend, Q text. Interesting. Q text title. Filter. Not convinced that is. Ooh, there it is indeed. kdenlive titler. It needs QT enabled. Alright, so I haven't actually done, yeah, indeed, done this kind of, there we go, override to Nix. So run through these. OpenCV would be nice, but we'll leave that for later. QMake not found. Why do I have to use call package to get QMake? Not happy about that. But I will be right back. Let's see. For the replay. I wonder what that is. Who knows? Okay. Just making sure the audio looks okay. Okay, let's see if I can get this titler enabled. So what I was getting at is I'm trying to get QMake in there. So hopefully it gives okay, now I'm definitely missing something. Because I thought that's how you could get to Qt base. Maybe a. What is this? Oh my goodness. MLT, Qt5. Wait, no wonder I'm doing this wrong. Look at that. Qt base, Qt SCD. Oh my goodness. Alright, so software scale, GPL. Why is it OpenGL? Oh, dearie. Okay, so I am basing my build off the wrong MLT. Very neat. Okay. Fine. Super equals. Yeah, MLT. Just do libs for Qt5. MLT override attributes. We don't need that one anymore. It has doop. Enable GPL. Again, duped GPL3. Don't need that. FFTW. Sure, still gonna do that. 612. Okay. Now I have to reset my Nix build environment because I now have changed one of the dependencies. Let me see, what is this guy doing? Now I think it has to build quite a few more things. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna build a lot of stuff. OpenCV, FFmpeg, video stabilizer. Right, okay, so that sounds more reasonable. FFmpeg, Forbis, move it, OpenCV3, FFTW, so I don't even need the FFTW one anymore. It's just straight up the ancient revision I'm using, and probably not even the version kdenlive links to. I probably just mucked that up when initially setting it up. Oh, okay, that's fine, whatever. Anyways, I'm kind of, where are we at? We're in Blast. Alright, well, that was silliness. Let's go back to the chat and see what's up. Multi-threading. Well, yeah, see, my upload stream rate according to YouTube is still pretty carp. Then I'm doing text only stream. Oh, okay, let's for the history. Whatever, don't care. Probably doesn't need to be 4,500. There's really not much that needs to go on. Anyways. Still in linear algebra. Now on to FFmpeg. Cool. Really seems like I'm I/O bound, huh? Load is high. CPU utilization is mostly idle. See, that doesn't... I don't like that. Anyways. So I am interested in knowing if anything in MLT actually, it might be anything in kdenlive, because MLT version was constant between the two kdenlive tests. Where are we at anyways? FFmpeg and OpenCV. Okay. But MLT was not the same between what I was testing previously, because it was libs for Qt5 one. This is not the libs for Qt5. That would be very interesting if that configuration change does actually result in a change in behavior for those other effects that were already enabled. Anyways, it's likely a change. Whoops. The refactoring timeline. Four hours ago. I think that might be the bug I was just encountering. So while that is... Oh no, I guess I am up to date. I don't think there's going to be a diff between... Unless they merged recently. Okay. So let's check out this commit. It's a core. I'm curious about viewing that file. Final move. It's a lot of tracing a bool through a multitude of source files. Hey, not that one. Let's see how the compile is going. Still going. Okay. That's interesting. Notice all of these have a guard for GUI constructed. That would be something I would refactor out into the structure that represents what these computations could be, such that the state that the GUI is not constructed would be automatically ensured by whatever executes this code in there. And then I could partition the implementation functions between those that require the GUI constructed and those are that's safe without the GUI constructed. That is fairly straightforward to do in some languages. In C++, not the best. However, C++ certainly does have the tools and techniques for this, which is probably not really worth it for such a tiny chunk of code. It really is. What is this total file? 644. I quite like that the landing point or one of the core files is nice and short and just describes the composition of the components. That's pretty nice. Anyways, I'm just gonna go browse it in my editor from now on. So we were looking at what master. Let's go to refactoring timeline. And I did want to check out the commits history. Oh man. Still doing OpenCV. Okay. I mean, if I was really concerned, I could bisect these commits to figure out which commit resolved the crash. Might be worth doing just for shits and giggles. It really wouldn't take too long once I have the compile working as I want with MLT properly configured. Wouldn't be that bad at all. But I'm not sure how valuable that would be. So I'm not going to look into it now. Let's go ahead and go back to chat and see if anything's going. Alright, well, I'm just going to look around kdenlive to see how it's structured. Connection with MLT. What defines the connection with MLT? In this case, looks like okay, this looks like a controller binding between the data model and these view. Main window, project manager, monitor manager, okay. Project item model, yep, we have some job manager, which would be library widget, again, views, project item model. Okay, so I'm curious about project item model. I'm more interested in the data model, the model layer than the view layer or controller layer. It's not really my thing. Those are going to be in Qt, and I'm not very experienced with Qt at all. I think I did like a practice problem or something years ago. But let's check out core.cpp. Oh, it is done. Okay. So CF title. Hey, there we go. That was apparently the issue there. Right. So yeah, I'm gonna have to rebuild my development environment. So while that goes, I'm going to commit the changes. Ooh, well, let's get the build in the git ignore. Kdenlive has been updated, so yeah, let's do that. And I want all of those files, command, use proper version of MLT. So now I've essentially saved my whole development environment setup to Git. I can check this out on another NixOS computer and immediately get back to where I was. Well, actually, no, not immediately. I forgot there is one thing. I'm going to do it by manual here, but I want to create a function. I'll just say setup build here. No, actually, let's do something else. Let's say false d build. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to have some code here that will automatically create the build directory with the proper configuration should I delete it previously, which would be nice, but I don't really remember what those commands are, so I'm going to search in my history to see what I used, and actually that's really not much at all. So cool. So now do I want to go to the build directly? No, because I might want to run the editor in that. So now what's going to happen is once I start up my Nix development environment, as the build directory is missing, should create the build directory. Oh, you know what I want to do is I want to restore the directory after that. You can do push D, pop D. But that would take a while. Weird. So this should automatically configure my build directory if it's missing. Not very fancy, but it'll work. So it should take a while for it to get up and go. But hey, there we go. Okay, let's double check the configuration. The legacy GL libraries will be used. I would prefer GLVND. So let's try that again. And what I'm going to do is, I believe I can just do that. GLVND. GLVND is the GL vendor neutral dispatch library. Okay. Anyways. KDoc tools, I know why that's missing, don't really care. Not important right now. Following runtime packages have been optional packages have been found. Yep, okay. have been found. Any optional packages not found. It's just kdoc tools. Okay. Happy with that. Let's see if that gives me the right vendor neutral use. Cool. So I should be able to, probably not 12. Let's do 8 or something. Should be able to build kdenlive from scratch with this updated MLT. We'll give that a shot, see how it goes. Bum, 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 bum. 47%. DVD wizard. I don't need that. Trying to think down what might have caused the difference. Anyways, I'm going to check out kdenlive. So let's go to core.cpp because I was interested in M project item model. See if that is the primary model, or does it reference it via one of these? Well, you know, I said these were views, but now I'm not so. I don't think these are views. This is probably just the view. These are probably other delegates for project and monitor. So I wouldn't be okay. So yeah. Anyways, core.cpp. Oh, finished. Okay. So, dope. Right, back here we are. Now what we're doing, we're going to do a title clip. Uh, let's do, yeah, orange. You glad it's orange? Why not? Okay, yay, we have titles again. Let's see, titles. Let's throw that title into one of the video thingies. Can we extend this? Yeah. Clicky, clicky, clicky. Um, let's grab some video, do proxy. And let's throw that. Whoa. Let's do that. Can I flip these track layers? Hey. Huh. Okay, so we got a title track. We got ourselves a video on it. And what did they say? Try using some title clip over another clip with move its hue, shift, gain. Okay. Wow, we'll just throw effects on everything. GPU effect, let us get us a nice blur on that. Oh, hey, look at that. Maybe that was, it is updating real time. So one of them was, let's do that glow effect again. Hey, look at that, it updated. So that bug is already fixed. This bug is already fixed. What are we doing? All the bugs are fixed. Cool, I like it. This is how all my coding videos are gonna go, with a glow on the text. And the title's blurry. It's drunk vision. It's terrible. But I do like the glow on the text. It just looks, I don't know. Uh-oh. Uh-huh. So adjusting effects does not have the desired effect of updating in real time. Oh god, that's hurting my eyes already. But the good thing is that it's working properly. Last project on startup. Only other thing I was going to check is see if there's any concurrency settings, environment, FF, concurrent threads, processing threads, greater than one is, I got them all on. Hmm. That's not right. All right, well, so far so good. Let's go into my next dev environment. Do 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 do. Right. So that is the path for melt that I expect when I run kdenlive. So let's go back to this. Go back to environment. Restore the default. Everything. Okay. Yay. Anyway, yes. Let's do it. Restart kdenlive. I'm not gonna trust that. I'm gonna restart it from here. Okay. Configure kdenlive. Back to environment. Melt looks correct. If MPEG isn't there, but concurrent threads, let's bump up to 8. Let's bump this up to, I don't know, let's do 8 as well. I don't really see reason why not. Let's just do everything. And then we're going to do another text clip. I'm getting lazy here, so I'm just going to JK, throw it like this, add another clip. Come on. Go, go, go. Throw it down. Hey, look at this. We're doing great. Right there. Yeah. Okay. So let's throw some blurry. Darn it. Defaults also included playback, enabling GPU processing. Why no GPU? Why no GPU processing? You're right. Indeed. So I have lost my OpenGL effects. Dun, dun, dun. Alrighty. Hmm. Not explicitly enabled. Disabling. Well, OpenCV, but it says OpenGL is working. Qt is fine. Oh, SDL2. Well, that's interesting. Why no? That should be pretty quick to enable. Okay, it's all capitals. SDL2. Gotcha. Hmm. Just gonna add SDL2 to MLT and build MLT. You know, this is probably gonna kill my computer. %. I'm sure it's gonna complain. Okay, maybe not. That's probably fine. Alright, let's check if MLT is configuring with SDL2. Oh, well, that's interesting. We could totally... GTK2. Yeah, I probably could enable that, but it's unrelated. Not explicitly enabled, disabled. Okay, yeah, still got that one. Qt, exif, Qt. Alright, did find SDL2. Come on, 100%. It says 100%. You know, I think for interfaces that show progress, you should never show 100% unless that is the actual last operation in whatever it is. Until then, you always show 99%, even if it would round up to 100%. You should floor it to 99%. Don't show 100% and then sit here and hang for a while. But that's okay. Just being kind of picky. Everything is building. It is a state I seem to be in. Dun, 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 Need fix it. Does this guy want to do? Oh no, he's gone. I can't answer him. He's already gone. Well, anyways. Let's say any new producers. We'll just query everything. Tell us everything. Whoa. Alright, so we got consumers. Neat filters. Move it. Yep. Glow. I want to check out the deconvolution filter at some point. That'd be fun. Sound effects. Yep. Okay. Well, I don't know. Looks nice. Again. Alright, well, no GPU effects. What the heck is going on? Audio background, RT audio. How did that get lost? Fails to parse. I feel like that would be something I want to know about. But the weird thing is I think it does say it gets MLT. MLT required multimeter frame, blah, blah, blah. OpenGL to OpenGL library. Yeah, it says everything is there. Hmm. Yeah, I am using NVIDIA GLX. This might be some NixOS OpenGL shenanigans, but I'm mystified why it would suddenly stop working. Um, oh, that's kind of interesting. Crashing, yeah. It's a nice idea to have some blacklisting functionality on there. All right. Well, shoot. Trying to fix ungroup crash. Okay. Well, I am just kind of mystified by what's going on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to build kdenlive this way. And while that's building, I want to see how this logic is implemented. Playback, use GPU processing. I don't know which QML file or even CPP controller file that's in, but if I search for the text, I can then find the name of it. Once I'm in the name, I see, hey, right there, GPU allowed. So where does GPU allowed come from? kdenlive is a constructor argument. Okay. Let's see where that gets constructed. somewhere in main window. Makes total sense. Indeed, mGPU allowed. So it's a member variable. And effects repository exists glsl manager. That one fails to load for some unknown reason. Fails to parse. Yeah. So, oops. Parse info from MLT. Oh my goodness. Get metadata asset ID. Okay. Oops. Filters. GLSL manager. GLSL manager. Is that going to give me the info on it? Okay, so I believe that was a filter. Quoi? Am I doing something silly? Filter equals shape. Yes, that is what I would expect. Query GLSL. No metadata for GLSL. What? So MLT is not locating the library? Alright, first things first, I'm going to go back to a prior version of MLT. Yeah, that's a bit odd. That's from MLT. But I will be right back. was waiting on everything to compile. Okay. Yeah, so that's the weird thing. No metadata for filter. GLSL manager. So I really am missing something. Why would that fail? It was working, and then it stopped. And I'm not sure why. I'm totally mystified. Query. Oh, it's a single. There we go. No metadata for filter GLR. Okay, so that's what I'm expecting to and one. That's kind of weird. Well, let's load kdenlive from the full Nix build. It also is not opening Move It. Okay. Weird. I'm so at a loss. Man. One thing I might try is reverting back to MLT 6.11, but that was working just fine. Again. It says there's no metadata for it. Just like, it's just weird. Right, no metadata for filter. What in the universe? This was working. No metadata for filter. Why not? Because I got his debug. Let's check it out. I am so baffled by this. This is actually 6.13. The only thing I can recall doing was changing this aspect. But I would be surprised if that had an impact. I guess I'll try. IPP? What's IPP? This is very strange. I have no idea why. No metadata for filter MLTGL. So manager. That's freaking weird. Is there a cache or something MLT references? Oof, no idea. Yeah. No metadata for filter. I am so confused by this. Well, might not bother then. So specifically what the issue is, I go MLT and like, hey, what effects you got? And it lists the GL effects. Ta-da! Yet, when I go to query about it, it says nothing. That's weird. So, very strange. It's just using. I have video evidence. Close kdenlive. And just run the one in my distribution, which is what I was running. GPU effects. I'm so confused by this. Okay, so now we have GPU effects again, maybe? Truly I am baffled here. Blur GPU. Reduce the radius of the glow. Doesn't really seem like I reduced the radius of the glow. Glow strength? There we go. Alright, I don't know what's up with that. Alright, weirdness. I mean, unless it's going through like software emulation, it really does seem like I got all the effects back again. GPU processing. Let's pump this up to 8 concurrent threads. Let us do 8 melt processing threads. We're actually going to delete this. Delete this. Okay. Then we're going to kill out. Yes, we're going to just scratch. Oh, actually, why did I say that? Whatever. I mean, it looks like it's working. I'm very suspicious. I'm not actually using OpenGL. This is going through some software, even though it says it's using GPU. I don't necessarily trust that right now. Well, I am not convinced by this. Not in the slightest. Right, but that's okay. We're gonna stop. Huh. And it just is working fine. No crashes. Interesting, interesting, interesting. Project settings. Yeah. Dun 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 dun. That's very strange. But what I'm going to do is actually install this dev version of kdenlive to, how do I put this? It's going to be my managed user environment, which is better than running it from just the build directory. And it'll replace the version that I can access from my application menu, which is how I enable these GPU effects. Okay, let's try that first. Settings, run config, was hoping there was such a thing. Run config wizards are GPU detected. This. Run config wizard. Are GPU detected? So, all right, that's the one from the build directory. I'm going to run the one that is actually in my managed user environment and do the same thing. Run. Oh, that's rather interesting. Now it says that one is missing. So that was a bug originally. I guess I just never encountered it. All right, that's cool. Required to create titles, but nothing about. So I'm going to go ahead and open my Scratch project and, never mind, I'll just create a new Scratch project. Not even going to bother, actually. I'm just going to throw down some video and throw down an effect here. Make it blurry. Ah, yeah, okay, so that is the usual failure. Yeah, so what I'm worried about right now is that I can't reproduce the bug because my setup is not the same as the situation in which I was able to produce the bug. And that's why I'm chasing down this GPU effect thingy. That's kind of weird. I guess this doesn't matter or not. I don't really know. But what I'm going to do is I now have this kdenlive setup. And what I can do, oops, it's not that. Yeah, I'll go ahead and do that. That'll be nice. So what I'm going to do is actually add this to my Git repository. This is just my development environment Git repository. But then I'm going to switch to my system's Nix configuration, which is this. This will let me essentially switch the configuration pretty easily. And I have my development environment here. Oh, I don't want it to actually open that. Oh no, no, don't be smart. Okay. Module add and I can actually add this as a submodule of my system configuration. Okay, there we go. This development environment is using a feature of Nix packages called overlays. Overlays equals kdenlive Nix. That is the only part I need to apply to get my system configuration to use this exact development checkout for kdenlive, and then I'll just add that to my system as if it was any other application in the system. And this is really the only two lines that matter for that setup. It's going to be kind of weird because what I'm going to be doing here is whoops. Bear with me for a second. Right. So I have this overlays directory, and it just loads everything from the overlays directory as is. Which actually I realize there's a bug here. Is I actually want to do lexicographic sorting here, and you'll notice that this actually does, if I recall, lexicographic sorting. No, it just says read directory, and then it imports, and it says ordered lexicographically. I guess that already does lexicographic ordering. So now I have this kdenlive development environment. It has two files in there, which are NixOS overlays, and I actually want to overlay those in a specific order. So what I'm going to do is have, I'm going to go to overlays, and like kitty. And I want to do kdenlive next, and we're going to call that 00. kdenlive, we'll just do single. And then the next one is going to be use local source. Dev branch. I can name this something different because I want to be clear that its application for my system configuration is that I'm saying that it's the development branch, and that's what I'm using my development branch for kdenlive. And now in overlays, I'm going to have these two files that reference my development environment's overlays. What's going to happen when I go back to, I'm going to bump up the console here. What's going to happen is when I do switch, and I say switch to my configuration, or this new configuration, it's going to find that I've requested for kdenlive to be overridden by those development environment files. I just realized that I have my old development environment config for kdenlive in here already, so I'm going to delete that. And you can see it's just this stuff here. This is entirely superseded by my other files. So I like doing git submodules because now I have this git checkout Git repository that represents my development environment for kdenlive. I can evolve this without worrying about pretty much impacting anybody until over here, which is where it's actually being used for my current active computer, I can choose which commit from this setup I want to use. And right now I'm saying I'm going to use essentially the latest. So I've requested it to get built, build. And what Nix is doing is it's evaluating all the definitions of all the packages for the OS configuration I wanted, which includes the MLT overrides. And it's deciding, oh, can I build it? The answer is not quite. Let's see what's up. Okay, so it confirms it's going to try to build kdenlive, MLT, and MOVA into my system configuration. It's not going to use the same build as before because I kind of have a different checkout of source code. And what I'm missing is so what happened is my kdenlive checkout, I have not updated the submodules. So of course it doesn't actually have the source code. There's recursive commands that would let me do this from my system configuration. It's kind of annoying. I don't really, like I mentioned, I don't really like the submodule interface Git provides. I really like the functionality. It's really useful for me building these Git repositories that just represent a specific development environment, and I can rapidly evolve them independently of each other without worrying about I'm stepping on my own toes as I switch between projects. However, the interface for Git submodules is painful, just straight up painful. I also have Jenkins set up to do continuous integration of things that use Git submodules. I should go over that later, but it's pretty nice. You can set up Jenkins to automatically update and commit the submodules only if the builds succeed, but you need a build that you're able to execute, and preferably tests. And since I have the Nix definitions checked into source code, I can check those out on Jenkins and have Jenkins do the work for me. Now, it's checking out Nix packages. I'm not actually the development environment Nix packages, but that's not actually what's going to be used in this case because I'm missing, not missing, but I intentionally did not include this file, which defines the top level of my kdenlive development environment, and that is the one that imports the Nix packages I've asserted I want to use for kdenlive development. In this case, which is my system configuration, I'm using the Nix packages that my system configuration is set up to use. Okay, so now that I actually have the source code checked out for my system configuration to use, it should actually build everything. And the switch will update my NixOS config once it's done, and that should automatically reflect in that being updated, that menu item being updated, but I don't remember if those menu items need some type of refresh because they're dereferencing the symbolic links that NixOS uses or not. Anyways, we see, I believe this is MLT going along and building. So we'll switch from that for now. I have to do anything, and this is the one that I'll execute. And I'll just execute it from the command line to do so. Best thing is indeed using Movit. Cool. Oh, thank you. let's see. I will do some tests. Still think there's. Yes, I can switch between two. Um, okay, built MLT. Now on to kdenlive. One thing that might not be obvious to people who aren't used to Nix and NixOS is that I haven't really told it um, to rebuild MLT or rebuild kdenlive, and those have a dependency. I didn't have to do that manually. I didn't have to go, I change MLT, so let me go build install MLT, then go to kdenlive, build install kdenlive. I just said, build my system, and it knows it has a dependency of the system has a dependency on the kdenlive build. Kdenlive has a dependency on MLT. Both of those have not been built with respect to the source that I'm requesting, so it rebuilds them in the proper order, which is nice. I don't have to worry about installing them individually or anything like that. The cost is that NixOS does I'm not going to say odd things, but it's very particular about how it sets up the environments. It's very good at sandboxing your systems and builds and artifacts from each other, but it means that the artifacts have to participate with that sandbox. That's what I'm worried about with this GPU effect. It could be something to do with how the OpenGL libraries are referenced on NixOS. In NixOS, the OpenGL libraries are interestingly one of the few, how would I say, one of the few libraries that works is if it's a normal, or not normal, but like Ubuntu or such. In those operating systems, you usually have your libs in either /lib, which doesn't exist on NixOS, or like, /user lib, which again doesn't exist on NixOS or user local lib. And those represent your libraries that your applications can reference. Those don't exist on NixOS. NixOS, for almost everything, references the libraries by absolute path, and it can do so because everything has a content address named absolute path in the Nix store, except the OpenGL libraries. Those are referenced dynamically by a, I'd say, and this is actually an alias. This is an alias to whatever the build of OpenGL libraries the current system is using. This is done because these have, some tight coupling to the current display driver, which could change independently of the build artifacts. I believe the GL vendor neutral dispatch library should eliminate that requirement, maybe, I believe. Or the GL vendor neutral dispatch library is the only one that needs to be in here, and the rest of the libraries can be stuffed somewhere else. And that's what I have set up right now is the GL vendor neutral dispatch libraries is the standard libgl library. You can see libgl vendor neutral 206, libgl. And that should automatically dispatch to Meso or NVIDIA based off of my environment. And that's what I'm worried is not consistent between my development environment and what gets installed with NixOS. So a bit worried about that. We'll see how it is. Okay, looks like it's about done. Rebuilding my system for this change. I do have some customizations also with how NixOS interfaces with the OpenGL libraries. I've been playing with around with how that works to make sure, not make sure, but just how GL vendor neutral dispatch library works in NixOS. It's something that needs to be improved. So I've been playing around with it. So that could be another source of issues between how OpenGL is being referenced between the development environment and my actual install, which would be no cool. The weird thing is that previously I was developing and it was using the GPU effects, or maybe it wasn't using the GPU effects and they were just still enabled because I was using them for the previously installed one. Weird stuff. What am I waiting on? Setting up temp files. I mean, seriously. Oh, that's right. Yeah, okay. Well, anyways, so now kdenlive is the one built from source, the latest stuff. Segmentation fault. Oh, that's about what I would expect. Why? Which one died? Thread 7. Qt declarative. Well, that's just freaking weird. K-build Psycoco. Sincerely doubt that would make a difference. Alright, yeah. Let's snoop that. What in the universe? Well, I'm going to restart my desktop. All right, now I'm back. That was interesting. So now things are. So what I did is I restarted X11 because I suspected I was using an application with a different version of Qt than what was currently running, and that was causing it to crash, which I've encountered before. So restart. Make sure the development environment, not development environment, make sure my running desktop is the same version of Qt that I just installed for kdenlive. Now I'm just getting back to, here we are. So this is my built from source version of kdenlive, and we're on refactoring timeline. And just to make sure, I'm going to rebuild this. Not rebuild it, but I'm going to .13. I made a change to that version number. So just to be picky, we're going to do that. Yep, okay, so it's going to build MLT. So what I did before stopping and restarting the stream was switched my installed version of kdenlive to the one built from source. So that was this, which is my managed user profile under NixOS. So I'll just go ahead and run that. And it runs. And interestingly, we're here. This is kdenlive. Let's check kdenlive. MLT 6.13. Okay. We'll go ahead back to, where was that? Run config wizard. No mention of GPU, still the same. However, if we go to configure kdenlive, and we go to environment, we're back here. Let's restore defaults for all of this. One thing I just noticed, Oops. I don't know how old those are. I'm just going to remove them from my runtime environment and then reset the kdenlive configuration preferences. Recommended for some preview jobs. Okay, so then now I don't have FFmpeg in there. That's actually kind of interesting because that can be a runtime dependency that's directly provided to the kdenlive environment. And kdenlive shouldn't, under NixOS, cache where MLT or FFmpeg are. It should always use the one that's in the environment because I can guarantee that's one that's compiled on there. But that's okay. Still no mention of GPU. So configure kdenlive. Should see environment has no reference to ffplay. Yep, but it does have ffmpeg 6.13. Yep, let's bump this up again to 8. And we're going to go to 8. Apply that immediately. But go back to playback. Okay, so now it still says no GPU processing. Move it library. Restart kdenlive to. Okay, that was weird. I guess simple screen recorder stopped streaming. Yeah, I definitely think my network is not working so well for streaming. Oh well. Still building Telegram. Okay. You just do your thing, Telegram. Yeah, so it was an effects repository. This returns an MLT properties. Okay. I think I need to check out the parent class for this. All right, maybe I do. Abstract asset repository. Given asset exists. Still building Telegram. My guess is Telegram is not enabled for parallel building. My computer is quite slow if it's not parallel. But this is the one built against 610. Right, and again, we're going to try kdenlive RC. Yeah, okay, no GPO effects. But the previous one was working. No, no, no. I don't think that's right. I mucked with all sorts of things about. Yeah, that's what I thought. Use GL vendor neutral dispatch was all different. Not using. Wait a minute. Just wait a darn minute. Mm-hmm. Gonna stop streaming while I get